The Ohio State University College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Science is a driving force throughout rural Ohio, and in particular, its South Centers located in Piketon, Ohio. The South Centers provides research and educational formats in a number of areas, including horticulture, fruits and vegetables, soil and bioengineering, aquaculture, and business development services. Dr. Tom WORLEY, Director of South Centers, hosts a monthly South Centers chat. Here's Tom.
Program about things going on here in Southern Ohio that are agricultural and community related, and it's a pleasure to be with the audience once again this afternoon. My guest this afternoon is Erica Preston, and Erica is the Education Coordinator for the Soil and Water District, which is a local organization here in Gallia County, Ohio. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Erica, you shared with me a little bit about your background. Would you care just to start by sharing a little bit about where you grew up and kind of your agricultural roots and education, that kind of thing?
Sure, I was Gallia County born and raised here, and my family had a dairy farm at first. When we was 12 years old, they sold out of that and went into beef industry, so that's where we are currently now. I also went into education, so my heart is in educating the public. Elementary is where I graduated from Cedarville University, but I also enjoy getting to work as the education coordinator for soil and water now in all different ages everywhere in the county.
Well, that's great. I think that your background speaks well to why you're in the position that you are. Certainly growing up on a farm is great education in and of itself to understand a farmer's point of view and what agriculture means, and then to relate that through education to the next generation, how important it is that they understand where food comes from and the importance of good quality water and soil and our natural environment to preserve what we've been blessed with here in Southern Ohio. So Erica, I just would touch a little bit on the structure of the Soil and Water District and how that might relate to the other levels of state government and national level in terms of conservation programs and how they're operated here locally in the county.
Okay, we are both county funded and state funded. NRCS, which is the National Resource Conservation Service, is also located in our office, and they do a lot of outreach to the farmers and help with EQIP, which is a program that kind of helps cost share on fencing, spring development, feeding pads for the wintertime, where a lot of times down here we have some soil erosion issues if we don't have the good road systems in place. So they do a lot of that outreach for us. And then we also locally here try to get out in the schools to let the kids know, like you've already said, where our water comes from, where the soil, how long it takes to get it healthy and able to produce vegetables or crops, and all the hard work that goes into getting that food on the table.
Great, great. Well, Erica, I think that your outreach extends to the whole population, though. Yeah. It's not limited, even though you try to focus somewhat. I think a big percentage of your activity is focused on K through 12 education, working in the classrooms and out of the classrooms with our younger age people. But you have an event that's coming up,
yes.
Farm City Day, and
yes.
I want you to talk about that and why people of all ages should be interested in coming out to Farm City Day.
Okay, Farm City is something we started in the last few years. It was actually started about 15 years ago, and then a few years ago it died for some reason. I think they might have ran out of different farms to have it on. And now people are becoming more interested in where their food does come from. So a lot of people will be interested in seeing where the cattle are, what they eat. Like if we had a dairy farm to go to, where their milk would come from. We're going to Lawrence and Frederick Burdell's farm this year, and they'll actually have some of their honeybees out for people to see those in action and talk about those, because right now pollinators, which would be honeybees, are actually having some issues making it through the winters around here, it seems like, and we're trying to just get the general public, like you said, involved, and kids actually enjoy seeing most of these, as most of them don't live on a farm anymore, unfortunately, and don't know what all hard work goes into that. We'll also be having some equipment that they've never seen, like a combine or a corn planter, different tillage equipment that you've already mentioned with cover crops that they might be able to see that will make less erosion problems for the farmer. The library, Bossler Memorial Library, will be coming. They do a wonderful job of making kids' crafts with the students, and of any age. There's no age limit on this. It's anybody is welcome, and it's free of charge. We'll actually be doing crafts and any kind of thing that they walk around and see, a hayride. We'll also have a petting zoo. There'll be some people there with a seed company talking about different fertilizers that are healthier for the environment and easier, hopefully, for the farmer to put on as well. We'll have the farmers market is actually joining us this year. Those people like Dave and Betty Brown with their fudge company, Hawks Heritage Farm, the Greenlee family with their pastured beef and pastured poultry. There'll be some live music as well. Martin Hash has agreed to come with the dulcimer, something that students probably haven't seen either. And also, obviously, free food was always a plus.
Well, it sounds like a great, great day. Is there certain times that this starts and ends at, Erica?
Yes, it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, September 26th, and goes to 2 p.m. But Lawrence has graciously opened his farm for all day, so really there's no time limit, so it's really fun.
And did you mention that there might be an opportunity to load up and go out on a hayride? Is that part of the process?
Yes, we'll have a few tractors around to kind of show people where to go and where they can find different activities.
Very good, very good. Well, I hope the weather turns out as beautiful as it has been this week.
Yes.
And that you have a great turnout for your Farm City Day.
Yes.
And certainly an opportunity for people that don't normally interact with farms or farmers to bring young and old alike, and a lot of experience in a short period of time. And it's great that you have a cooperating farmer and all the sponsors that you show listed on your flyer.
Yes, we definitely want to thank all our sponsors, Crown Excavating, a lot of local people, Wesco Bank, Farmers Bank, the Farm Bureau, AEP, Buckeye Roll Electric, RNC Packing is helping with the butchering of the beef, and actually the Burdells donated the beef this year. People's Bank, Farm Credit is going to be bringing plates and napkins, and a lot of different local people will be there setting up displays, like with the Conservation Club in our area. They'll have the skins and skulls and different antlers and fish, I think, for people to look at. Raccoon Creek Partnership actually will come down from Benton County, and they will help teach children about the fish in our area, how Raccoon Creek used to be where you couldn't really get inside and swim around a lot. There was a lot of pollution in it. Now it's a lot cleaner, and they're actually finding a lot more species inside the river or creek that would be more beneficial to the area, and you can actually go fishing and swimming and be safe.
Wonderful. Now, I'm not directly from this area. Does Raccoon Creek run through Gallia County?
Yes, it's a big tributary, and it was almost considered a river at one point, so we know it's pretty large.
Wow, very good, very good. And sounds like there's been a lot of progress made. I would presume there was a soil and water involvement in that cleanup?
We have some involvement in it, but Raccoon Creek Partnership, as the picture you just seen was their water trail map, and they've actually done a lot of wildlife research with it as well to kind of show what you might see if you're canoeing down this trail or kayaking. A lot of people have kind of looked at it from that perspective, and it is pretty neat in our area. especially in the fall, you'll just see the different colors of the leaves changing, and then being able to see the wildlife. And there's different public access points on there that you can find in Gallia County to actually go on. The landowner has agreed to let you there for going canoeing or kayaking.
Wow, that's a great resource, and
Yes.
one that obviously conservation practices have helped improve and enhance our region, and it sounds like a great opportunity for folks that have that opportunity to be in the great outdoors and up to the physical activity of canoes and navigation and so forth. So I've heard a lot about that over the years, and glad to hear about the success of the project and how beautiful it's made that opportunity. So, well, maybe we'll return to Farm City Day, kind of the end of our time here together, Erica, but kind of looking at the broader picture that you're all about education and
Yes.
outreach and trying to get an understanding about the importance of natural resources to us and life itself. It really comes down to the ability to produce the food we need and the water that we absolutely have to have, and that spills over into the other aspects of the air and the light and noise and all kinds of things that have to do with our environment. But can you talk a little bit more about your activities that relate to working in schools in the K through 12 system?
Yes, I'd love to. We actually have a lot of different trucks or kits that we can take to the schools for the teachers to try to help them understand what conservation is. Some of those concepts for little kids, they don't quite understand the water cycle. So if they can see a 3D version of that, that will help. So like the Enviroscape, it kind of shows a little bit about what they can see, like where the water treatment takes their water from the river and how they treat it to make it to where we can drink it and safe for consumption. And then also, you know, the drinking companies, the factories. We also tie in some of our agricultural practices that I talked about earlier for the agriculture perspective of the farmer, not wanting to erode any of his land, and maybe even some forestry equip programs where they might cut down all the trees. And that like leaves all the bare soil, which causes a lot of problems later on down the road. The Streamulater also is another kit that we use that kind of shows the students when you turn the water on in that sand pile, that a lot of times people don't realize the power of water and how quickly the flood can take your home or your farm or whatever's in its path. And sometimes those little bushes that you see are like to represent the trees that can hold in the roots of the soil and keep it from eroding. And we also simulate drought situations or flooding situations in those. And the kids get to interact and actually touch things, and it's really good for them. Another thing we sometimes do is soil presentations. We just kind of keep a bucket of soil, which you never know when it might come in handy. A lot of students nowadays are always on their little iPads or video games and things like that. And getting to actually take soil in, having them touch it and play with it and tell me if they think it's grainy like sand or kind of soft like clay that they probably have used in art class at some point but just don't realize where it might have came from. And that there's different colors of soil as well. And that's actually started in 3rd grade. The Ohio Department of Education is actually requiring that as a standard now. So we want to try to help the teachers I know that a lot of teachers probably didn't take soil as their main course, so we try to ease their comforts and just help them ease into it a little bit easier. Another thing would be the skins and skulls. Trunks that we have are just furs that actually the Conservation Club in Gallia County helped donate some of those. And then we also purchased some of the skulls to help show the kids what wildlife would look like in our area, as you can't always get close to them. Hopefully they're not trying to do that, but it's like kind of neat to see and show the kids, and they get to touch them as well, and they just learn a lot from just being able to have 3D objects to play with. There's also curriculums that we offer. Fortunately, I didn't bring all those with me, but a lot of Project Learning Tree, Project Wild, Project Wet, that the teachers, we can actually do workshops with them and train them in the outdoors curriculums to get them more comfortable taking their students outside. And a lot of the standards also are pushing for more of that, as I think students should be outside more and trying to learn more about nature and trying to figure out what our problems are in the atmosphere, and maybe even coming up with solutions someday.
Great, great. Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head that a lot of students don't have the experience of growing up on that farm like you did.
Yes.
And learning from your parents and possibly grandparents, your neighbors, people about, the cycles of life and how dependent we are on those cycles.
Right.
And the natural environment is what supports us ultimately. And a lot of times when you are not that grounded to the land, you don't quite realize how much in tune and how much we depend upon the earth itself. And I just have to come back to one thing that triggered a thought in my mind relative to the news today. And I know, maybe this is just too far, but as part of your work, when you said how quickly you could lose your house, you were talking about floodwaters, which I think is the higher probability here in southern Ohio.
Yes.
But at times we do have forest fires when things get really dry. And, we hear about that out in California, how quickly hundreds of homes are going up and so forth. Is that part of what you educate about as well?
Yes, and I know we're still learning more about different programs we can offer, but definitely forestry is an area that we would cover. We also do, for the adults, we identify any insects that might be tearing up their forest land if they're trying to conserve their forestry. And we also try to teach them that sometimes those forest fires are healthier for the environment because they actually help the organisms in the soil to kind of restart all over again and get healthier soils like we talked about earlier. But also we also in Gallia City Park, any of the schools there like Washington Elementary, we work closely with them. We actually do a tree ID in at the park, and the kids love that. They get to see that there are different trees around them all the time, and they can find them even in town. And they enjoy seeing the different leaves and trying to learn and figure out who can guess what tree that they're standing under. And it's always a fun time, and the teachers really enjoy that. And it's always something that you can incorporate, and no matter what age they are.
Yeah, great. You mentioned Washington Elementary. I think there was another program that you talked about, an urban garden, that you might have had some experience with at Washington Elementary, and you've had some ups and downs and starts and stops and so forth, but there is a lot of interest in cities about local foods and urban gardening and converting space into productive uses in terms of food production. Can you share with us a little bit about this experience and the kind of the renewed interest?
Okay, sure. 2 years ago, the Gallia Moon group had come to me for some project ideas, and they wanted to do a community garden, and they were very interested in that. So they wanted to work with us, and we worked with after school program through Washington to try to get everyone to help with that. And it went really well the first year, and we kind of lost a little interest. So we hope that people can kind of get back into gardening and come and see us at Washington Elementary.
Great, great. Well, of course, one thought always triggers another one. You mentioned after-school programs. Are you ever, in terms of collaboration with 4-H clubs, do you work together with them to reach youth?
Yes, the Extension office is actually next door to us in our building, and we work a lot with programs through them. We've done Cloverbud Camp with them before, and we always enjoy anytime we can get outside with the kids and encourage them either in agriculture or some kind of program. It would be wonderful.
Excellent, excellent. Of course, being from Ohio State University, I'm a little biased toward the 4-H program as youth development as part of our overall extension program, as well as agriculture, community development, and family and consumer sciences. And I know at the local level, this collaboration happens all around the state, and it's great to hear about it here in Gallia County as well. So another thought, in your educational program for the K through 12s, do you ever do like in-services for the teach the teachers, so to speak, that the teachers themselves become your audience and then they go back to their classrooms?
Yes, we like doing teacher workshops anytime we get a chance to. We've actually done one a couple years ago, and they enjoyed learning about the curriculum and took it back to their classes. And we've had a few phone calls on helping supplement that, and it's always been a joy to do that. And we try to offer that anytime. We're trying to be flexible to their schedule because we know now it's hard to get subs sometimes. So if they want to do it in the evening or on a Saturday, we try to be open to that as well.
And this is not my area of expertise whatsoever, but I think that as state standards and curriculum priorities, if I can say that, goals, teaching to goal,
Yes.
your curriculum would fit into reaching some of those goals. So
Absolutely.
it's a really a nice dovetail
Yes.
piece for the local teachers.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, Project Wild has really done a lot of strides. Jen Dennison, with our state coordinator, she really does a great job of working with ODE, actually, which is the Department of Education, and trying to get that system online, actually, to where teachers can access some activities online. And they've actually put some of those, incorporate them into their standards, so they can just click on them through their standards if they go into science especially.
Great, great. So there are resources that kind of back you up because,
Yes.
you know, Gallia is not likely the one that convert a curriculum to an online module.
Right.
But statewide, you have some support to do
Yeah.
that. So
Yes.
that's great.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
And it does cover not just science, it also covers language arts, math, anything basically that they teach in school. I believe it can still cover some of those subjects.
Great, great. I know our time is getting a little bit short, but there's just one more topic that's a little bit near and dear because we have a soil quality and water quality program at OSU South Centers, and
Okay.
we have a strong soil and water lab there and research trials, and we talk a lot about soil quality. And I know one aspect that you work with, I'm not sure it's just FFA or vocational agriculture, if that's even in vogue these days. That's what it was when I took it. But the soil judging aspect of, and it's a competition, I think. And could you
Yes.
help enlighten us just a little bit about your role with soil judging?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. We actually just finished one yesterday and it went great. We had wonderful weather, like you said. We couldn't have asked for better weather. The pits we dig are usually 5 feet deep and 4 feet wide. We make sure students can access it from both sides. They only get about 20 minutes really to decide what type of soil that they're dealing with and some of the best management practices that they could implement at that site. They dig 3 different pits, and they actually get in and use their hands to get dirty and figure out the soil texture and structure of the soil, which really trains them for if they would go into that career to be a soil scientist or an engineer, because engineers can also use it. It's not just agriculture related. They do both urban and ag, and they've also went to state in Gallia County before and done really well, and I believe even went to nationals at one time. So it's always interesting to see how far we can push them and try to do a great job of hosting that for them and making it a little less harder on the teachers and just trying to encourage, like you said, agriculture.
Now, is this a competitive program when the teams come in, and how many teams would show up to a typical competition?
Yes, in this area we only have 3 high schools, and it does get pretty competitive, but it is always fun seeing who wins.
Okay, and then they move on to a district competition?
Yes.
Is that the way it works?
The district could have up to 48 teams, so
Wow.
we'll see how much comes this year.
Oh, wow, wow. And it's neat to get out, I'm sure, because, again, not my area of expertise. I'm more on the economic end of things in agriculture, but soil varies so much, even
Yes.
on an individual farm, let alone from here in southern Ohio to western Ohio to northeast Ohio, that soil is quite remarkable.
Yes.
And I would assume that somewhere in your curriculum you explain to students where soil comes from.
Yes, we definitely tell them it doesn't come there easily. It takes about 1,000 years, I believe, to make 1 inch of soil. So it does start with the bedrock or parent material is what they would call it.
You're reminding me in review of what I meant to learn a long time ago, but I knew it was a long process, and that's why conservation of our topsoil is so important. It does not return overnight, and it's important that we maintain what we have. Well, Erica, I think we're winding down here, but I want to give you an opportunity to talk about Farm City Day one more time and encourage any of our listeners to be sure and come out. I think that as you described all the sponsors, and you mentioned beef, I don't know whether I'm coming for a steak or a hamburger, but it's going to be beef. What's for lunch that day, it sounds like?
Very, very good. Yes, pulled pork or pulled beef will be the sandwich of the day, and we'll actually have some milk from the United Dairy has sponsored the milk. And it's just a fun time for all ages, kids or adults, to learn more about the farm. And that's Saturday, September 26th from 10 to 2 is when the event runs.
And it's a local farmer, Lawrence Burdell?
Yes, at the Burdell farm, yes.
Okay, pretty easy to find, I think.
Yes, if you're in Rio Grande area, you take 325 towards Vinton, and it's only about 1.5 miles up that way.
Great. Well, it sounds like a really nice event. And obviously the price is right due to the sponsorship of all these organizations and your coordination in bringing it together. Hope the weather holds out all the way through for you, and it turns out into a beautiful, beautiful day. And so with that, I think that we're getting at the end of our time. And we thank all our viewers for tuning in today, or if you're listening to the YouTube recorded version, thank you for your interest. I think we put up Erica's contact information if you're interested in contacting her or us at OSU South Centers. We're easy to find on the web. If you'll just Google osu.southcenters.edu, you will come to us. You have a website that you can be accessed through too.
Actually, yes, we do. It's Gallia Soil and Water, which is swcd.com. There it is on the screen now.
Yeah, and we've all become pretty good, or at least I rely on getting it close, and the search engines will generally show it in the list of the top 10. So it's generally pretty easy to get there if you remember kind of the gist of it, it seems like. So we look forward to your visits, and we're available obviously at South Centers with any of our programs to help answer any questions or invite you to attend some of our programs that we have upcoming. And you can find out about those on the web, as well as you can these various events and resources that Erica has so aptly provided here today. Thank you again for tuning in.